Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Andover Baptist Church online today. It is so great to have you with us. We're so pleased that you're joining us. We're having a great time here this morning because of some work that's going on in our main hall next door. We're online only today, so I've got myself and Tony's here running all the live stream stuff for us here in the studio. Rob's here as well. Marie's joining us a little bit later on. I think it's Stephen on live chat this morning. Apologies if I've got that wrong. So that's our little team serving you today. We've got some great stuff coming up during the course of the next hour or so. And one of the other things we're really enjoying in the studio today is this enormous box of chocolates. Can you see this? I just want to say a huge thank you to the wonderful family who sent this in for us this week as a way of saying thank you to everybody who worked so hard to make all of this possible. So our tech teams, as they've been coming in during the week, have been diving into this. I don't know whether you can see, there are like tons of chocolates in here. We're going to see if we can make a dent in that by the end of our live stream this morning. And I should just say other brands of chocolate are available to the Cadbury's Heroes ones that we're enjoying, just in case there's anybody worried that we've been sponsored somehow in any way. We haven't, but we're really enjoying these chocolates. So thank you so much for sending those in to us. Maybe you could tell us what your favourite chocolate is on the live chat. Give us a bit of balance. That would be really cool. Now, whether you're online with us live this morning or catching up later on demand, everybody's really welcome with us. Today we're coming to the end of a really special summer series that we've been doing. Over these last 6 weeks we've been hearing 10 different talks, each around 10 minutes long, from 10 different people. And we've been getting some great feedback to those about how much you've been enjoying them. We've heard some amazing and really powerful stories, haven't we? Some great challenges, some great highs, some low lows as well. But all of those stories bound together by the presence and power of God, weaving threads through the lives of the people sharing with us and their stories. Well, we've got two more great 10-10 talks for you today as we round this series off. Martin is going to be speaking on the theme of decisions, and Jane on the theme of right place, right time. And I wonder if you've ever thought, does God have a purpose for me? Does God have plans for me? Does God have stuff that he can do with me? Well, if those questions have ever come to your mind, or indeed coming to your mind this morning, then you are in just the right place. You do not want to miss this, because those talks are both going to speak right into those questions. We've also got some great music for you to join in with. First of all from Alex, and then a little bit later on from Andy. We've got a couple of really important updates about things that are changing over the next few weeks, and in particular, changes we're making to our Sunday services starting next Sunday. So that's happening a little bit later on, so please do stay with us for that. For now, though, it's time to catch up with a very special event that we've been talking about on our social media challenges that's coming up at ABC in the next few weeks. So to find out about that and other things that have been happening online this week, let's head over to Rob, who's going to tell us all about it. Right, it's time.
Now, as we have done for a whole lot of weeks.
Speaking of social media.
So over to you, Chris.
It's over to you, John. Over to you, Jamie.
Here it is, it's the social media slot. Oi, oi, how are we doing? The bit you've all been waiting for.
We do this social media slot every week.
The green screen today has decided I should be a bit shimmery. Anyway, back to what I'm meant to be doing.
I'm really excited that they've let me in front of the green screen today.
Massive shout out to all of those who have got involved.
Although we've had to be physically isolated, that has not meant we've had to be socially isolated from one another. Hello, good morning, and welcome to our social media slot. It is fantastic that you've joined us this morning. And if you were online with us last week, you'll know that we gave you a challenge. And that challenge was to invite someone to Alpha. Alpha, for anybody who doesn't know, Alpha is a place where you can come and you can ask questions about Christianity, about faith and life and meaning in a really relaxed and informal setting. And there's no pressure, there's no unwanted follow-up, there's no cost attached to it. You know, you can say anything that you want, or you can just sit there and listen to see what other people think. And that's really the thing. We want to hear what you think about these issues. You know, it's very much a discussion time and a place where you can just kind of have a chat with people. And, you know, if you're not sure about faith or about Jesus or about the Bible or any of those things, it's the kind of place where you can ask those questions that maybe you wouldn't ordinarily get to ask in a different setting. So if you're interested in that, you really want to sign up and try Alpha. And basically last week we challenged everyone to invite invite someone to try Alpha. Now, the thing is, for a social media slot, that's a bit unusual because you don't necessarily do that on social media. So I don't know. I don't know how many of you did it. I'd love to know. So feel free to tell us in the chat if you invited someone. Don't give us their name, but just say, hey, I invited someone. That would be awesome. And if you didn't, there is still time to invite someone to Alpha. We've still got another week to go before we kick off. I think it's next week, Tuesday, not this Tuesday, next Tuesday that we kick off. So think about who you might want to invite. And hey, on social media, we are posting invitations all the time to our Facebook page. So why not share one of those posts? That's a great way to partner with us as a church. You can tag somebody in that and say, hey, have you tried this? You can just show a friend on your phone and say, hey, there's this thing happening. Are you interested? And if you'd like to sign up, or somebody that you know would like to sign up for Alpha, then just direct them to our website. You can sign up there. You can sign up via our Church Suite app. You can sign up via the Connect group section on our website as well. There's loads of ways to sign up for Alpha. And if you get stuck, just give us a call and we'll sign people up for you. That's absolutely fine. So we would love you to be able to do that. Now, that's Alpha, and I want to encourage you to keep doing that. But we've got another challenge for you this week. This week, our challenge is called Dangaroos. Dangaroos. What is the most dangerous thing you've ever done? Okay, I mean dangerous. You're absolutely right. It's pronounced dangerous by most normal human beings, but I like to do things differently. We want to know, what is the most dangerous thing you've ever done? And by the way, we're not encouraging you to do dangerous things. That's not what we're suggesting, and please do not try this at home. Like, if you're not a mountain climber, you shouldn't just, well, I don't know how you can try this at home unless you live on a mountain. But anyway, don't do anything crazy. But if you've already done something that was already crazy, maybe you jumped out of a plane with a parachute on and went, ah, until it opened. I don't know. Let us know. Maybe you've done some rock climbing. I don't know. Maybe you're a stuntman and you lit yourself on fire a few times, and that's a bit unusual. By the way, if you're not a stuntman, don't do that. It's not safe. But let us know, what is the most dangerous thing that you have ever done? And the reason we're doing this is because next week we start a brand new series that has to do with danger. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag because we've got a little bit more of that later in the series, later in the service rather. So you're going to find out what the next series is, but we would love to find out from you what the most dangerous, insane thing you've ever done is. Hopefully not insane, just let us know. Let us know. You can even let us know in the chat if you want to. That's fine. You can tell us, I once wrestled an alligator. We won't believe you, but you can try. It's okay. Whatever. Okay, I think that's about it for me now. I've got everybody in the studio laughing and despairing, so I'm probably going to disappear now. But in a moment, we're going to sing some songs. We're going to kind of get into the real kind of worship element of our service, where we just thank God for the incredible life that He's given us, for the incredible world in which we inhabit. And it's a world filled with all kinds of problems. It's a world where people are in pain and they're suffering. So we can bring our praise to God, and we can bring our prayers to God during this sung section. I'm going to hand over to Alex, who's going to lead us in some song. And let's just bring ourselves before God and the people around us as well in prayer.
Fail me now in the waiting. Hello, my name is Martin and I'm a volunteer here at ABC, as well as being a member of the ABC leadership team. I wanted to spend a little time talking about how we make decisions. I mean the big decisions like career, education, where we live, not the little decisions about which meal to pick in a restaurant. I'm perfectly capable of doing that myself. Well, I'm not actually, as anyone who's ever eaten out with me will know. I'm that last minute panicker who picks just as the waiter or waitress gets to me. I know that even those big decisions that I was talking about, we can make on our own. But I'm a Jesus follower and I believe that God has a plan for every single one of us. Every single one of us, whether or not you believe in God. Not only does God have a plan for each of us, but his plan is way better than our plan. Maybe you're like me and you consider yourself to be a Jesus follower. And maybe you're in that situation right now where you know God is asking you to do something and you're scared or worried about the outcome. Maybe God is trying to call you out of your comfort zone. Equally, maybe you don't consider yourself to be a Jesus follower at all. You still have decisions to make. Maybe it's about your job, university, moving home, moving town. Are you looking for wisdom from outside yourself? Or maybe you're not looking for that wisdom because you didn't know it was there, but would really appreciate it. 13 years or so ago, I was in the situation where I'd been looking for a new job for quite some time. I'd been interviewed for a position as a software development consultant. The problem was that my wife and I were quite far along with the pregnancy of our second child, Joshua. And on top of that, there were all the signs of a recession approaching. For context, 5 or 6 years earlier, I'd been in the same situation. I'd actually been offered 2 different jobs. No children at that point, but there were also signs of a recession looming. And I bottled it. I stuck with the same job and proceeded to spend the next 5 or 6 years unhappy at work. So going back to the possible job, looming recession and imminent arrival, I thought God was telling me it was time to move to a new job. And I don't mind admitting to being more than a little bit scared. So what did I do? Hold that thought and we'll come back to it. I want to talk to you about Gideon, because for me, Gideon is an inspiration. The Bible tells us about Gideon in a book called Judges. Judges is a book in the Old Testament, and it tells us about a time when the people of Israel repeatedly turned their backs on God. The pattern of the book of Judges is that Israel turns its back on God, they get overrun and oppressed by a foreign tribe, and then they call out to God for help. God provides a judge or leader and equips them to help Israel, and freed from oppression, Israel turns back to God. I say a pattern because this isn't a one-off. Israel does it again and again. Gideon is called by God to be a leader of Israel while they're being oppressed by the Midianites. And the people are so dominated by them that when God sends an angel to Gideon, he's hiding in a wine press, threshing wheat to escape it being taken by the Midianites. I know none of us really think about or maybe even knows about threshing wheat, but you generally thresh grain in an open floor where the wind can blow away the chaff that's being removed by the threshing process. You don't thresh wheat in a wine press. A wine press in this context is a pit in the ground. So Gideon is so keen not to be seen that he's making his own life so much more difficult. And that's because he doesn't want to have to try and defend it from the Midianites. So Judges 6 gives us a recording of the conversation between Gideon and God in the wine press. So Judges 6 verses 14 to 16. The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you?" "Pardon me, my lord," Gideon replies, "but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family." The Lord answered, "I will be with you, and I will strike down the Midianites, leaving none alive." What Gideon's basically saying, he's the least of the least, and the least likely to be able to help Israel. He's basically saying, "Really, God? You're going to pick me?" God is then reminding Gideon that he isn't going alone. God is going with him. So, fast forward through Gideon's journey with God, he famously asks God to confirm that God is really talking to him and really calling Gideon to be a leader of the Israelites against the Midianites through a miraculous sign. Gideon lays a fleece on the threshing floor. It seems he does have one, just doesn't know how to use it properly. And God makes it and asks God to make it so that in the morning the fleece is wet with dew and the ground is dry. So any of you who are not from a church background, you're maybe not a Jesus follower, if you ever hear someone talking about laying fleeces, this is the reference that they're talking about. And it's just a way of asking God to confirm what you think you're hearing from him. So the next morning, Gideon can wring a whole bowl of water out of the fleece, but the ground around it's dry. Gideon then asks for another sign, even though he recognizes God might get angry with him for asking again. This time, he lays a fleece on the threshing floor and asks for the fleece to be dry and the floor around it wet with dew. Again, God delivers exactly what Gideon asks for, and the fleece is dry, but the ground is wet. So I said at the start that Gideon is an inspiration to me, and then I've proceeded to tell you how he hid in a winepress to avoid conflict with the very people that God is calling him to save Israel from. He sees himself as the lowest of the low, and having been given a miraculous sign confirming that God is calling him to save Israel from the Midianites, he asks for another. So you might be sitting there thinking, what is so inspiring about Gideon? And in short, it's the way he handles himself from this point onwards. Before I explain, I feel like I need to be fair to Gideon. In his shoes, I'd definitely be in that winepress, threshing the wheat to feed my family and save my own neck. I'd also want to be really, really certain that God really meant me if he called me to lead others into battle, even if it was a battle to save them. So I'm with him for asking for confirmation more than once. The story of Gideon goes on in Judges chapter 7, and this is where I find Gideon inspirational. So Gideon chapter 7, verses 1 to 3. Early in the morning, Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and all his men camped at the spring of Harod. The camp of Midian was north of them in the valley near the hill of Moreh. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast against me. My own strength has saved me. Now announce to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." So 22,000 men left while 10,000 remained. So Gideon, at God's instruction, has just let over 2/3 of his men go. I don't know about you, but I would have been beside myself. And to be fair, I'd probably be asking God if I could lay another fleece for confirmation that God really meant it and that I was hearing correctly. But there's no sign of Gideon panicking or doubting God. Unfortunately for Gideon, God isn't finished. And adjusting the army of Israel isn't finished adjusting the army of Israel just yet. God continues, and we see in chapters 4 through 8. But the Lord said to Gideon, "There are still too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out for you. There, if I say, 'This one shall go with you,' he shall go. But if I say, 'This one shall not go with you,' he shall not go." So Gideon took the men down to the water. There the Lord told him, "Separate those who lap the water with their tongues, as a dog laps from those who kneel down to drink." 300 of them drank from cupped hands and lapping like dogs. All of the rest got down on their knees to drink. The Lord said to Gideon, "With the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites to your hands. Let all the others go home." So Gideon sent the rest of the Israelites home, but kept the 300, who took over the provisions and trumpets of the others. So now poor Gideon is down to less than 1% of the army he started with, but he trusts God. And I encourage you to go and read the rest of Judges 7, even if it's a story you think you know well. God delivers on his promise to save Israel and to be there with Gideon. God gives Gideon the victory in a way that can't be disputed, and it can't be disputed that it's God at work, not Gideon. You might be sitting there thinking, that's a nice story, good for Gideon, but that isn't my intention. I'm sure you've already linked what I said about Gideon to the story I started to tell you earlier about the possible new job. Was I hearing God correctly? Was it him telling me it was time to move? Or was I just fed up and unhappy at work? I laid a fleece, a figurative one, not a real one, rather asking God to prevent a job offer being made if this was the wrong thing for me to do from his perspective. In other words, if I wasn't hearing him correctly. The new company made me an offer and I took the job. Everyone in the company I was leaving thought I was mad. We were so close to Joshua's arrival that I had to adjust my notice period to allow for 2 weeks of paternity leave. So, fast forward 4 months, and the looming recession did arrive. The new company announced redundancies that included my department. But the redundancies don't include my specific function or me, and my boss is able to tell me really quickly, so that I don't even have to worry about it for long. Through that job, I discovered a career path that I didn't know even existed in my industry, a career path I'm still on and absolutely love. Now, I'm not saying that everything will work out exactly the way you want if you trust God, but I am saying that he'll stick with you and he'll be right there by your side. What is God asking you to do today? Maybe you're not a Jesus follower and he's asking you to trust him for the first time. Maybe you're facing a decision about work, education, or where you live, and you'd like more wisdom than you have personally. Maybe God's calling you to engage with him more or engage with him for the first time. If you're a Jesus follower, maybe he's asking you to be more open about your faith at work or school, which is scaring you. Or maybe he's been asking you to volunteer here with us at ABC. Maybe he's calling you out of your comfort zone. Whatever he's asking you, he's not asking you to go. He's asking you to walk with him, and he will be right there beside you. Check out the Next Steps page on our website or get in touch with us directly. We'd love to be part of the journeys that God is leading people into. And if you'd like us to pray for you so that we can, and what you think God is calling you to do, can I encourage you to go to our Say One For Me page on our website. Don't forget that as well as asking for prayer there, you can also tell us how your prayers have been answered through that page. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so kind to me. All the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. All the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so kind to me. All the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. All the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me.
Thanks so much, Alex, and thanks, Martin, too, for that great talk in our 1010 Talk series. Now, I just want to update you on where we are with our roadmap to regathering. Last week, if you were with us online or in the room, we talked about some changes that we're going to bring in from next Sunday, the 5th of September, as we continue to respond to the changing measures and situation across the country. Oh, my auto cue's not working. Will you bear with me 1 sec? Right. Let's try that. Sorry, really want to get this right. No, it's still not working. Okay, we're all right. We're back on. Sorry, just really want to get this bit right. I just want to take a few more minutes to let you know about the decisions that we've taken this week and what that will mean in terms of where we go from the 5th of September. There's a full update available on our YouTube channel and on our social media feeds. And I'm just going to hit the headlines today, some of which you can see up here. But before we just get to all of that, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you who completed the survey that we sent out over the last 10 days or so. It was really helpful to us to get your input into the sorts of measures you think we should or shouldn't have when we gather on site, and for the encouragements so many of you shared with us through that survey. It was really lovely. Secondly, thank you too for praying for our leaders, our trustees who met on Thursday evening this week to consider all of that input as they discussed what we should do next. I think it's fair to say that all of the church leaders I speak to around the country and indeed around the world are finding it really difficult to figure out just how best to respond to the ever-changing situation. And in many respects, of course, it's become even more complicated as governments and authorities leave it up to each individual organisation to determine what measures it should take. And our survey bore out exactly that same idea. Lots of different views on what we should do, ranging from having really strict measures at one end of the spectrum to not having any measures at all at the other end. And we completely understand that. And we want to be clear that we get that, and there's no pressure from us to be on site if you don't feel comfortable doing so. We're going to continue to do all of our online activities and other events like connect groups and services and prayer meetings and so on. And where we do start to bring some of those on site again, we'll make sure that we're using a hybrid version so there's online available too. And I just want to say too, it's really important that we respect one another and the different views that we might hold on what should happen. We shouldn't judge others who have a different view to us. We've all been through and continue to go through an unprecedented time with this pandemic, and none of us have done this before. So none of us have a monopoly on knowing what exactly should be done. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do at Andover Baptist Church? Well, from next Sunday, the 5th of September, we're going to move to the next phase of our roadmap to regathering. Our services are going to start at 11 a.m. So they're moving forward 15 minutes from 11:15 to 11 a.m. and that is on site and online. So next Sunday, 11 a.m. with live chat starting at 10:50 if you're in our online congregation. We are going, though, for on-site to continue to keep some social distancing between household groups and bubbles. But we're going to reduce it from 2 metres to 1 metre or 2 seats between groups rather than the 2 metres, 4 seats we've been doing up until now. And that's going to enable us to increase capacity from 30 to 60. So we'll be asking people, though, still to wear masks when moving around the building and when we are singing, unless they have a medical exemption. But once you're in your seats and when we're not singing, masks can be removed if you would like to do that. We're also moving our on-site Sunday children's and youth activities to take place at the same time as the service. That's 11 a.m, with the exception of the Bubbles group for preschool children, which will take place earlier on a Sunday morning because we're going to be asking a parent or carer to stay with a child, as we have done up to now. Those children's and youth activities are going to take place every other Sunday, starting next week, the 5th of September. But we are also removing the age restriction on children joining in with parents or carers in the main hall for our services. So provided children can sit with their parents and not move all around the hall, then they're really welcome to join you in our services on site. The children's and youth team are going to be emailing out all the details of all of that early next week. Now, we're still going to be asking you to book in to both the children and youth activities and the Sunday on-site service. However, we are going to make that much simpler. So bookings will open on a Monday morning as they have done now, but they'll remain open all the way through to the Sunday morning. So as long as we don't reach our capacity for bookings, our numbers, you can book in any time, and you can even just show up on the Sunday morning if you want to do that. And provided we aren't at capacity, you will be able to book in there and then and come straight in. However, we do want to encourage you to book in, because if you don't book in before that, you may be disappointed if you turn up and our capacity has been reached and we have to turn you away. So we really do still want to encourage you to book in. Now, we won't be producing a seating plan showing where you have to sit. You can sit wherever you like in our main hall, provided that you keep that 1 metre or 2 seat distance between your household group and others, and we're going to be asking you to take responsibility for that. Our guest services team, our wonderful guest services team, will be there to help with all of that, but we are, as I said, going to ask you to take more responsibility for ensuring you stick to the social distancing rules. We'll still be doing everything we can to keep people safe. That's really important to us, including using different entrances for the children's work and the parents who are bringing their children in for the kids' work. And we'll still be encouraging people not to gather in large groups indoors. Of course, you can still do that in the car park, but we also won't be rushing everyone out after the service, as we've been doing up to now. We're also, as I said last week, going to be moving our preaching and our service leading into the main hall alongside our musical worship, because our tech teams have been working really hard to get us all set up so we can do that and still have a great online experience for those of you who will be joining us online. So if you're not comfortable to join us in person yet, please don't worry. We'll still be online, and actually we've got some cool special stuff planned for our online congregation too. And just to remind you, don't forget we're moving the start time to 11 a.m. with our online live stream, beginning with live chat and some of that cool stuff happening from 10:50 a.m. And we will continue to keep all of this under review, and if we need to change measures again as we move through the next few months, then we will do that. Please do let us know by messaging us directly if you've got any questions or concerns, or you can contact us via the church office, and we'd love to have a chat if you've got any of those concerns. Thanks so much for all you're doing to help us stay connected with one another as we continue to move through this time. Please do keep praying as we keep making these decisions and as we move into this next phase together. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Jane now, who's going to lead us in the next of our 10:10 talks. Over to you, Jane.
Hello, I'm Jane Biddlecombe and I'm one of the leaders here at Andover Baptist Church. Have you ever just been in the right place at the right time? Or do you ever wish that you could have been in the right place at the right time to make a difference? Many of you will be aware of the story of Oskar Schindler, probably through Steven Spielberg's film Schindler's List. The film tells the true life story of Oskar Schindler, who was a German industrialist and member of the Nazi Party at the time of the Second World War. He employed over 1,000 Jews in his factories and protected them from deportation and death in the Nazi concentration camps. He showed amazing initiative and bravery, using his connections to save lives. So many things needed to be in place for Schindler to succeed in his efforts. He was in the right place at the right time, but he needed to seize his opportunity to do the right thing. He needed to use his skills as a businessman and his connections within the Nazi Party, and he needed like-minded people to help him. Schindler's story reminds me of the story of Esther in the Old Testament part of the Bible. The story of Esther has always inspired me. Like Schindler, she lived at a point in history when the very existence of the Jews was being threatened. Esther was a beautiful young Jewish woman living in Persia, which is now in the area of modern-day Iran. She was chosen by King Xerxes to be his queen in the year 479 BC. Esther's older cousin, who had effectively adopted her when her parents died, was called Mordecai. He was a government official. Haman was a noble and second in command to the king, but Mordecai refused to bow down and worship him, as he believed he should only bow down to God. Haman became furious and determined to destroy Mordecai and all the Jews throughout the kingdom. Haman persuaded King Xerxes to issue an edict to all his provinces, calling for the killing of all the Jews on a single appointed day. Mordecai told Queen Esther about this edict and urged her to go into the king's presence to beg for mercy and plead with him for her people, the Jews. We can read about this in chapter 4 of the book of Esther, which, as I said, is in the Old Testament part of the Bible. Esther sent back this reply to Mordecai. All the king's officials and the people of the royal provinces know that for any man or woman who approaches the king in the inner court without being summoned, the king has but one law, that they be put to death unless the king extends the golden scepter to them and spares their lives. But 30 days have passed since I was called to go to the king. When Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, he sent back this answer. Do not think because you are in the king's house that you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go, gather together all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day, and I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions. And Esther did do as she had said and asked King Xerxes to spare her people from destruction, and he agreed. No law signed by the king could be repealed, but he signed a new edict giving the Jews the right to defend themselves from any attacking nation or province. Esther and Mordecai were in the right place at the right time to save thousands of lives. Was this just luck or coincidence? As a Christian, I believe that God prepared the place and the opportunity for Esther and Mordecai, and they chose to act. It's an amazing example of the interplay between God's sovereignty and him allowing us to play our part in his plan. God chooses to work through those who are willing to act for him. I read something recently that said we should pray as if all depended on God and act as if all depended on us. Esther and Mordecai didn't wallow in despair or wait for God to fix everything. They took action. In both Esther and Mordecai's lives, God used both their character and circumstances to accomplish great things. Because of Esther's courageous act, a whole nation was saved. She saw her God-given opportunity and she seized it. Now, we're not likely to get the opportunity to save hundreds or thousands of lives like Schindler or Esther, but God gives us opportunities which we need to grasp. I find this really challenging and more than a little scary. It's easy for me to think that I might mess up the opportunities that God gives me. So what lessons can we learn from Esther? Firstly, I think it's really interesting to see what Esther's first reaction was when Mordecai asked her to go to the king and plead with him for her people. As you can see, her first reaction was to list the reasons why she couldn't do it. She reminded Mordecai that if she approached the king without being summoned, she would be put to death. Quite a reasonable response, I would say. But how many times are we presented with opportunities to play our part in God's plan, only to say, oh, I couldn't possibly do that? There may be many reasons. We may not feel equipped to do what we are being asked to do. We may feel inadequate, or we may feel like we don't have the right things to say. But Mordecai sent a message right back to Esther saying, who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? So maybe the first thing we need to do is learn to get over our excuses. This brings me to the second point I think we can learn from Esther's story, which is that you don't have to do it alone. Throughout the story, Esther is encouraged to act by Mordecai. He is there to advise, support, and encourage her. And as we can see from the passage, Esther is also supported by all the Jews in Susa. She asks Mordecai to ask all the Jews to fast before she goes to visit the king. And in the Old Testament, fasting is always associated with praying. Esther was asking her community to pray for her. She was part of a community of believers who supported her during difficult times. We all need friends and family to ask for advice and to encourage us when our courage is failing and we don't think we can do what we're being asked by God to do. We all need someone to say, you can do it, don't be afraid, or maybe God has put you in this position for a reason. Sometimes we need people to spot God-given opportunities for us and to encourage us to believe that, just like Esther, we are in a position for such a time as this. Who does this for you? Who can you go to for advice when you feel like you have an opportunity to act? Maybe it's a trusted friend or family member, or if you're part of the ABC community, maybe it's someone at church or in your Connect group. If you are part of the ABC community of believers, it's really important that we support each other, share our struggles, and pray for each other. Finally, the third point we can learn from Esther's story is that in order to take part in God's plan, you need to take risks. Esther said, "I will go to the king, even though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish." She decided to risk her life by attempting to see the king when he had not requested her presence. She knew what she had to do, and she knew it could cost her her life, but she did it anyway. We may not risk our lives every day, but we do risk our security, just as Esther did, in taking the opportunities that God gives us. We may have to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, make ourselves vulnerable by sharing our hurts and fears, or risk our financial security by giving money to a worthier cause than ourselves. By speaking out for what is right, we may risk ridicule and embarrassment. Taking risks doesn't come easy to me. I'm a lawyer, so I'm used to advising my clients on the risks of certain courses of action, but my natural personality is to be cautious and stay in my comfort zone. However, I take comfort in the fact that God made me this way. I'm never going to be an evangelist, but I can talk to people about my faith, and I can put into practice God's instruction to love others as I love myself. Maybe if you're willing to be vulnerable, then the difficult situation you may find yourself in today will be an opportunity to help someone going through the same experience in the future. I know that I have been able to help people going through their parents' divorce or anxiety issues due to my own experiences. Maybe you believe that luck, fate, or coincidence has put you in the right place at the right time. Or maybe you're a Jesus follower and you believe that God has put you where you are for a reason, whether this be in your school, college, workplace, friendship group, or family. I believe that God does not place us where we are in life for our own benefit. He has placed us wherever we are to serve him in whatever way we can. He has a purpose for the situations in which he places us. It's pretty scary to think that God might have put you in a certain place for a specific task. It's a big responsibility. I'm sure we all miss many opportunities because we're too scared to take them, or we're not close enough to God to realize what he may be doing in our lives. My prayer is often that I will just recognize those opportunities and have the courage to act upon them in the way in which God wants me to. And I take comfort from the fact that my actions may be just one small part of God's great jigsaw puzzle. We all need to watch for God at work within our lives and act on the opportunities he gives us. Maybe, like Esther, we are where we are in life for such a time as this. Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you that you have a plan for our lives and that we have a part to play in that plan. We're sorry for the times when we make excuses and we don't act, even though we know we should. Please bless us with people around us who can provide us with wisdom and encouragement when we feel inadequate and unprepared for the challenge. I pray that we will draw close to you and recognise the opportunities we have to influence those around us and share your love with them. And please give us the courage to be like Esther and Mordecai, taking risks and acting on the opportunities you give us. Amen.
You make it easy to love you. You are good and you are kind. You bring joy into my life. You make it easy to trust you. never left my side. You've been faithful every time. And all I want is you, Jesus. All I want is you. You are the refuge I run to. You are the fire that leads me through the night. I'll follow you anywhere. There's a million reasons to trust you. Nothing to fear, for you are by my side. I'll follow you anywhere. Oh Jesus, you came to my rescue. Took my place upon that cross. You redeemed what I had lost. Now the whole world revolving around you. 'Cause you're the center of my life. You're the treasure, you're the prize. And all I want is you, Jesus. All I want is you. You are the refuge I run to. You are the fire that leads me through the night. I'll follow you anywhere. There's a million reasons to trust you, and nothing to fear, for you are by my side. And I'll follow you anywhere. Follow you anywhere. I'll follow you anywhere. Wherever you lead me, whatever it costs me, all I want is you. All I want is you. Wherever you lead me, whatever it costs me, all I want is you. All I want is you. Wherever you lead me, whatever it costs me, all I want is you. All I want is you. Wherever you lead me, whatever it costs me, all I want is you. Jesus, all I want is you. You are the refuge I run to. You are the fire that leads me through the night. I'll follow you anywhere. There's a million reasons to trust you, and nothing to fear, for you are by my side. I'll follow you anywhere. You are the refuge I run to. You are the fire that leads me through the night. I'll follow you anywhere. There's a million reasons to trust you, and nothing to fear, for you are by my side. I'll follow you anywhere. Follow you anywhere. Follow you anywhere. Yes, Lord, those words are often so easy to sing and to say, but Lord, may we really mean those words, that
wherever you lead us, that we will follow you. Thank you that you have a calling and a passion for each one of us. And Lord, may we be able to sing out those words in confidence that we can follow you wherever you want to lead us. Thank you, Lord.
Oh, how high would I climb mountains if the mountains were where you hide? Oh, how far I'd scale the valleys if you grace the other side. Oh, how long have I chased rivers from lowly seas to where they rise, against the rush of grace descending from the source of its supply. And in the highlands and the heartache, you're neither more or less inclined. And I would search and stop at nothing, 'cause you're just not that hard to find. And oh, I will praise you on the mountain. I will praise you and the mountains in my way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I praise you in the valleys all the same, with no less God within the shadow, no less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is, in the highlands and the heartache all the same. Oh, how far beneath your glory does your kindness extend the path, from where your feet rest on the sunrise to where you sweep the sinners past. And oh, how fast would you come running if just to shadow me through the night, trace my steps through all my failures, and walk me out the other side. Oh, who could dare descend that mountain, that valley hill called Calvary, but for the one I call Good Shepherd, like a lamb was slain for me. And oh, I will praise you on the mountain, and I will praise you and the mountains in my way. You're the summit where my feet are, so I praise you in the valleys all the same, with no less God within the shadows, no less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is, in the highlands and the heartache all the same. Whoa, whoa, wherever I walk through, wherever I am, your name can move mountains. Wherever I stand, if ever I walk through the valley of death, I'll pastures we call grace, a mighty river flowing upwards from a deep but empty grave. And oh, I will praise you on the mountain, I will praise you and the mountains in my way. You're the summit where my feet are, so I'll praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadow, no less faithful when the night leads me astray. You're the heaven where my heart is, in the guidance and the heartache all the same.
Well, that was another great talk. Thank you so much, Jane, and great sung worship from Andy and the band there. I love that song, Highlands, and the lyrics to it are so powerful. Now, I'm joined here by Marie, who's a wonderful part of our staff team at ABC. We just want to give you a little bit of an update. We are so blessed with our staff team here at the church, and for the last 6 years, Marie has been in the role of, we call Church Life Director, which means really she runs the show. That's pretty much the deal. She runs all of our office and admin and finance, helps with all the finance, all that. She does a whole load of stuff around here, and we've been so blessed to have her on the team here for the last 6 years. All the time I've been here, you've been a part of the team here. But there are some changes coming. Marie, sad for us, but great for Marie and the family. Marie has got a new job, and she's going to be moving on from our staff team, but not the church, over the next couple of months, towards the middle end of October. So I thought it'd be really nice to have her down to pray for her and the family in just a minute, but actually just to hear from you, Marie, about this exciting new challenge that's coming your way. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about it?
Okay, thanks, Chris. Yes, so before I came to ABC as a member, but for about 15 years, I was an auditor in the NHS, so my background was NHS, and then I went into external audit in the NHS. And actually what I'm about to do now is something very similar, but I'm going into internal audit within the Ministry of Defence. So I'm so excited about that. It's a great opportunity for me personally. I've absolutely loved being part of the staff team here, and we as a family have gained so much from it. I've grown so much in my own personal faith, and actually in this new chapter in our lives, it will still be wonderful to be church members, be an integral part of the church family and do the things that we love doing. So one of the things I got involved in last year was I started to help Rob and the Alpha team as part of the online Alpha course. And I love that so much, I'm doing it again this year. So we kick off a week on Tuesday, and there's still time for people to sign up if they want to do that. We'd love to just be there and explore faith with you. And of course, Dave, who's been a member of the worship band for all these years, will continue to do that. So we'll still be in everybody's lives, just in a different way than we have done for the last few years.
Yeah. So as I said, we're really sad because Marie has just been an amazing part of our team, and I can't tell you how much work she's done, often behind the scenes, to get us to the place we need to be as a church with all of our systems and processes. She's been a huge support to me personally over these last 5 years. So, we're going to miss her hugely from our team, and we're sad about that. But actually, we're also really happy for you and the family, Marie, because we know this is a great next thing for you in your career and for you as a family as well. And we would never want to stand in the way of what God has in mind for people. And you have that sense, don't you? This is what God's got for you next.
Yes, I think for us as a family, it's something we've been thinking about for a while, just with our family circumstances. It suits where we are. Our oldest son is just about to go into his second year at university. Our daughter is just going into year 9, and actually this move we've just sensed God in it all the way, and even in terms of some of the staff changes of the small team that I manage. We've got Kirsty with us now. Big shout out to Kirsty. She's
Definitely.
amazing. So I just feel like we're in a really good place, and not only is this the right time for us as a family, it's also the right time for ABC as a church. So yeah, I think it'll be really positive.
Brilliant. So just really practically, before we pray for you and the family, really practically, Marie will be with us on the staff team through to sort of mid to late October, working out her notice period with us. We're going to be working with our HR people and our the people who help us with our staffing and so on to figure out how we advertise for a replacement. We're kind of hoping that if God's got all this in control, which we're pretty sure he has done, that there'll be a little handover period that we can kind of overlap with. So yeah, all of that information about the role and our advertising for it will be coming out in the next couple of weeks, probably. I think we're shooting for. So yeah, let's pray for you, Marie. That would be really, really cool. Lord God, we thank you so much for Marie and for Dave and for the family. We thank you for there being such a wonderful part of our church family in so many different ways. And we know actually it's never just been about the staff team for them. They're involved and engaged in so many different ways in the life of our church. And we thank you, Lord God, that is going to carry on. We thank you that you have this exciting new chapter all laid out for Marie, and that she's going to get to do that. Lord God, we thank you so much for all that she has brought to our team over these last few years, for all that she's contributed to us as a church, and for all those different things that often we don't see that are so important for an organisation like ours to function well. And we thank you for all of that work that's gone on to make that possible. We just want to pray huge blessing on Marie and Dave and the family into this next chapter. We thank you that we're going to get to see how that unfolds as we continue to journey together as partners in this church here at ABC. So, Lord, bless them powerfully and hugely, we pray. And help us, Lord God, as we search for what comes next and who comes next to join our team. Would you lead us to just the right person, we pray. Amen. Amen. Brilliant. Thank you, Marie. Thanks for coming down to join us this morning. So just before we finish, we've got two other things that we want to let you know about, starting with a brand new series that's beginning next Sunday. Let's hear a little bit about that. So that series is starting next Sunday, Dangerous Prayers. If you're intrigued, well, make sure you join us either on site or online. Remember, from 11 o'clock next Sunday. We're really, really looking forward to this new series. Don't forget, too, that our children's and youth activities, as I said earlier, are firing up again on site next Sunday morning, and you'd be really, really welcome to join us for that and bring your kids for that as well. That would be great. And then finally, to let you know about today is another thing we're doing next Sunday. We recognise that, we've missed being together over this last year, haven't we? So we're going to do a picnic in the park next Sunday after our Sunday morning service at 1 o'clock at the Charlton Sports Field, close to the rugby pitches there, if you know that. And there's plenty of parking at the Sports Centre in Charlton or on Foxcott Road. And we'll be there from 1 o'clock. Bring your own picnic, and we'll look forward to seeing you there and just having the opportunity to catch up and see one another, weather permitting, of course. But as long as the weather's looking okay, we'll be there for a picnic in the park next Sunday at 1 o'clock. Whether you're joining us online or on site next week, we'd love for you to plan to join us for picnic in the park next Sunday at 1 o'clock, Charlton Sports Field. There's no need to sign up. You can just show up and a bunch of us will be there. Come and find us, and we'll look forward to having a great time together there. Okay, we're about out of time on our live stream this morning. Remember, you can still stay in touch all week via our social media channels. So let's stay connected. In the meantime, have a fantastic rest of the bank holiday weekend, and we'll look forward to catching up with you either online or on site next Sunday. Take care, everybody.